welcome everyone who's joining us. Thank you for watching this incredibly important film and for joining us for our panel discussion. So my name is Nick Emeigh, and I am the Director of Outreach and Development for NAMI Bucks County, Pennsylvania. So some of you may be joining us from other places as well. I know that some of the panelists are. NAMI, in case you don't know, is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to improving the lives of individuals and families affected by mental health conditions through recovery-focused support, education, and advocacy. And we deliver support groups, daily education programs, and some of the advocacy work that we do is in this field, working to eliminate things like conversion therapy, which are deadly for those of us living in the LGBTQ plus community. So that's just some of the things that we do. And if you're wondering why NAMI would want to be involved with something like this, we actually run support groups and programs for the LGBT plus community to support individuals living with mental health conditions and without, because it's difficult to live as an LGBTQ plus person when there is a society that includes folks that don't always accept us. So we know that they need support, and I need support as a member of the LGBTQ plus community. So it's important to me and to us at NAMI that we provide the support to everyone who needs it, whether or not they have a diagnosis, which, as you learned in the film, homosexuality is not a mental illness, and neither is any of the rest of the LGBTQIA plus spectrum. So that is why we are here this evening. And I will officially welcome you all and introduce you to our panelists after we take a look at the trailer for the film.
If you were gay in those days, you were diagnosed as suffering from a mental disorder. Like so many people in my generation, I went to psychoanalysis to be cured.
These are some of the methods doctors employ to cure homosexuality: electroshock therapy, hysterectomies on lesbians, castrations of gay men.
People use psychiatry as a reason to discriminate. Apart from the discrimination against us, it gave us a horrible image of ourselves.
In the early 1970s, there was this growing rebellion against psychiatry, and we wanted to remove homosexuality from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual.
The body of knowledge which claims sickness for homosexuality has to be challenged.
We could not expect our civil rights as long as we were burdened with the sickness label.
Maybe it makes you feel good to be able to say that we are sick. Does it make you feel good?
The body of medical evidence suggests that it is a mental aberration.
There were so many of us that were at the same point. Enough is enough. We're not going to take it anymore. Period.
A number of psychiatrists talked about, why don't we organize, we can make an impact. John Fryer took a step as being the first psychiatrist to say, I'm a gay person, but no one recognized him. He represented all the people who were hiding and invisible.
The effect was electric.
At psychiatric annual meetings, there were demonstrations, if not in fact riots. Ron Gold's a gay activist. He got up there and he yelled out, "Stop it, you're making me sick." I told him in my speech, you don't have the right to decide that perfectly happy people are sick.
This fight was the most important moment in gay liberation history.
So as we move through the discussion this evening, I'll invite everybody who is here live to ask any questions that you might have in the Q&A section. If for any reason you have trouble with that, the regular chat is absolutely fine, and I can go through any questions that you might have toward the end. You won't be able to necessarily unmute or put yourself on camera to discuss with us live, but you can put everything that you would like to say in the chat or in the Q&A box, and we will get to those questions as best we can with the time that we have. So with that, I just have to say I'm so honored to, and we discussed this before we started, to be in the presence of these humans here tonight, incredibly talented humans, not just because they are amazing, but because I have myself struggled with suicide and survived suicide attempts, and in large part because of how I was treated in my life, because I'm gay and for various other reasons. But I technically shouldn't be here to be doing this with all of you tonight. It's an honor in that respect as well. So I will introduce you to our esteemed panelists this evening. So Patrick Sammon is the co-producer and co-director of CURED, along with Los Angeles-based filmmaker Bennett Singer. A resident of Washington, D.C., he previously served as a creator and executive director of Codebreaker, an award-winning drama documentary about the life and legacy of gay British codebreaker Alan Turing that reached more than 3 million viewers worldwide. So thank you for joining us, Patrick.
Good to be here. Thanks for hosting.
Absolutely. Reverend Kennedy is obviously fabulous, but in addition to that, has been fighting for social justice for more than 5 decades. An active participant in the civil rights movement, the women's movement, and the movement for LGBTQ equality. She is an original member of the Black Panther Party, who describes herself as the gayest great-great-grandmother out of the closet you'll ever meet. A resident of New York City, she is a Stonewall veteran who is working on a book called Shades of Stonewall. Reverend Kennedy is also featured in a new exhibit and book called Not Another Second, which tells the stories of 12 LGBT seniors. So I love having you here, Reverend Kennedy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And we have Marlene Pray. I'm excited to have this evening. She has been an inspiration of mine for some time here in Bucks County. She is an education and training consultant with over 20 years of professional community, nonprofit management, and board leadership in community organizing, sexuality education, environmental education, social justice, and human rights. She has taught and led hundreds of workshops and professional trainings locally, nationally, and internationally on youth empowerment and engagement, rites of passage, sexuality, education, anti-racism, LGBTQIA+ rights, public health, and social justice. Marlene serves on the Bucks County Human Relations Council, and I just want to make sure that I have all of your updated information. She also serves on the executive committee for the Bucks County NAACP, on the CB Cares Education Foundation Board. She helped launch the County Partnership for Healthy Teens, and she founded the Bucks County Equality Coalition, the Central Bucks Holistic Moms Network, and I'm partial to this one, but the Bucks County Rainbow Room. And that is Bucks County's only gay center for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender youth and allies, and it is in its 20th year.
Wow.
So Marlene, you said you're honored to be with us, but I am so honored to have you.
That was way too long of a bio, but thank you. Yeah, it's amazing to be here. Y'all are so beautiful, and I just love you.
We love you too. And if you don't want such a long bio, you'll just have to stop doing so many things. Well, thank you, Marlene, for being here. So next we have Dr. Patrick McElwaine. He is an assistant professor of counseling psychology at Holy Family University and a faculty member at the Beck Institute. He also sits on the board of directors at NAMI Bucks County, PA. Dr. McElwaine has over 20 years of clinical experience in various settings, and he is a member of multiple psychology organizations and serves on the Montgomery County Drug and Alcohol Advisory Council, among others, many others, at settings including the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI, various school and hospital organizations, the Pennsylvania Psychological Association, the PPA, and the Lilly Conference. He has conducted numerous presentations related to mental health addiction, stigma, and pedagogy. So, Pat, I am delighted to have you here tonight. And you were one of the most eager to be part of this event when I first brought it up.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here. I love Nick. I echo what Marlene said. And Nick, when you talked about this and how important it was to you, it was just as important to me. So I really appreciate it. Love you, man.
Love you too, Pat. Thank you for being here. And for the first time this evening, I am meeting Jill Pedroso, who is also a wonderful human being. Graduated from Temple University with her degree in education and certifications in elementary and special education. She has a master's of science in education and a reading specialist certification. She's currently finishing a course sequence to become a board certified behavioral analyst and working as an autistic and emotional support teacher in a local school district. Jill is a wife, mother of 4, and a strong supporter of her children and students who identify as part of the LGBTQIA+ community. So thank you for being here tonight, Jill. I'm so happy to have you.
Thanks. I feel like with my bio, it's not worthy to be around such wonderful people, but I'm super excited to be here. Thank you.
Listen,
definitely, your bio is awesome.
We can't underestimate what an awesome mom you are. I've heard all about it. So we'll dig into that some more tonight, I hope. So we'll get started, and we have any questions, like I said, please put those in the chat and I will get to them, like I said, as we have some time. Dr. Pat has a wonderful letter from one of his clients that he has worked with about the coming out process. And so let's get started with some of the questions that I have prepared already. So first, I want to start out with a question for Patrick, if you don't mind. We have 2 Patricks this evening. So to distinguish Pat from NAMI, I'll call you Dr. Pat, and Patrick, without whom this film wouldn't exist, I will call you Patrick.
My mother would love for me to for you to call me Dr. Pat.
I mean,
no.
So Pat, Dr. Pat, it's up to you.
No, I'm joking. Please call
Dr.
me Pat.
That's perfect. How about it? I thought actually you were going to say Patrick with the good hair, Patrick Sammon. Patrick who's bald will be me. Thanks. That's what I thought we were going
to. Well, okay. So Patrick with the good hair. What was the catalyst for CURED, and why did you want to tell this story?
Yeah, I had read about this story in LGBT history books, but I really didn't think to make a documentary about it until the fall of 2014. A friend of mine here in Washington, D.C. had written a film treatment about the life of Frank Kameny, who's of course one of the heroes in the film. And a scene in his film treatment tells the story of the 1972 panel at the APA annual meeting with Dr. Anonymous, of course, John Fryer from Philadelphia, stepping forward, having to wear a mask in order to testify what it was like to be a gay psychiatrist. And reading my friend's treatment, it sort of jumped out at me as what this would be a really incredible documentary. And that began what, a 5-year odyssey. I was surprised as I jumped into the story that it hadn't been done before. And so, thankfully, my friend and now colleague, my co-director, Bennett Singer, I recruited him to join with me, and we started our first interview in the spring of 2015. And it quickly became apparent, how significant this moment was in LGBT history, because as long as we were classified as mentally ill, then business and government were going to use that as an excuse to discriminate. So this had to be the first domino to fall if we were going to be treated more equally. So the other thing that quickly became apparent was that the clock was ticking, and we needed to capture the voices of those who had lived through this, before too much time went on. And the first person we interviewed was Ron Gold, and about 6 months after we interviewed him, he passed away. And I know in our hearts tonight is Kayla Husen, of course, from Philadelphia, and had lived in Wilmington, Delaware as well. And she passed away, as many of you know, yesterday. And we're sad and heartbroken to learn that news. She was such an amazing trailblazer. I so enjoyed becoming friends with her during this production and visiting her several times at her retirement home. And she really is an inspiration, all of us, as is, of course, Reverend Kennedy and the other heroes and heroines who achieved this victory. But it's really humbling to have been able to put together this story using the firsthand recollections of the people who lived through it, the people who created this change. And that was really our goal in telling this story, to have the people who achieved this victory be able to tell their story and how they accomplished this amazing victory.
Well, it's beautifully done. And I mean, Marlene and I were talking prior to the start of the panel this evening about the comments on Facebook that we're seeing, and phone calls after our colleagues and members have watched the film, crying. And our executive director, Debbie Moritz, said to me earlier, I watched the film and I did not know it was that bad. And it's just, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this, and I'm so grateful that you created the film, is that it is really difficult to think that, yes, I live with a mental health condition, but I could have been institutionalized just for being who I am at one point. It's wild to think about that. And so I'm just grateful that you created the film. Honestly, Patrick, thank you.
Well, that's very kind. Thank you. It's heartening to hear the reaction the film is getting from people who see it. And, Ben and I, living with this story for so long, it's hard to, you get too familiar with the story. So that really means a lot to hear the feedback from you, as well as other people who are seeing the film.
Absolutely. It's honest feedback as well. It is. I said to, I believe it was Julie, I had a bad day yesterday and I just needed to feel better about the trajectory that we're on. And I watched the film again last night in bed. So while it elicits a response that is, some people are shocked by what it was like, and some people are saddened by what it was like. For me, it's hopeful. Absolutely. So I would like to ask Reverend Kennedy the next question, if I may. And for Reverend Kennedy, I understand from the film that your mother was so troubled by the idea of having a lesbian daughter that she gave you the choice of going to a mental institution or getting married at the age of 14.
That's correct.
I find it troubling, obviously, that, as not getting married, you go to a mental institution, an improper use of the mental institution. But was it legal for a 14-year-old to get married, or were there legal obstacles that your mother had to get around or maneuver to make that happen?
Well, one of the things, I guess, I'm from upstate New York. Saratoga Springs is my home. And at that time, I guess parents or whatever parents said went. She didn't have any problem signing the papers for me to get married, although it was illegal. And none of us knew that. And even after I did get married, and though the marriage was consummated, the marriage was still annulled, which kept her out of jail. It kept her out of the county jail anyway. Kept her out of Saratoga County Jail. It says Broward County. No, we're in Saratoga Springs, New York. This was Saratoga County.
I mean, I can't imagine, obviously, but what was that like for you? What did that feel like back then?
Well, for me, it was, I always say that to me, it was like a betrayal because my mother was the type, oh, you can come and tell me anything. So I used to share with her my, my little likes and dislikes, and little girls I liked at school and all like that. And the expression of her face never changed. She never said it was right. She never said it was wrong. She didn't say anything. I don't know if, now that I think about it, perhaps maybe she was traumatized. I don't know. But at any rate, she never said anything until the news started getting around Saratoga that, I was out with the girls. I was out with the girls. I was playing with the boys. I was on the baseball team, and did all the things that boys do. In those days, the tomboy it was called, and mom, mother was just, she was mortified. She was just, and this is what she said, you will either get married to cure this, or you're going to Utica. Now, upstate New York, Utica is like what Bellevue is in New York City. If something's wrong with you, this is where you're going. And it was a threat that was held over a lot of our upstaters, as I say, over our heads. A lot of my girlfriends, they went into the convent. They were white. They went to convent. Some of the boys went into the priesthood. Me being black, and in those days we were called Negroes, wasn't two other places for me to go. I was in the church, and in school, and that was it. It was, you didn't defy your parents, and heaven help you if you did. One thing I did do, I ran away from home. I joined the Air Force, was able to get in. And when I passed the test and they shipped me to Waco, Texas, I really thought I had made it. I thought I was free. But 2 weeks, 14 days later, there was my mother with a private detective at Waco, Texas, Air Force. Take me back to Saratoga. And on the way back, she says, you will get married. So,
Wow. I mean, growing up in Philadelphia, we had Byberry, which is was a state mental institution, and that was used to scare us as kids when we misbehaved. But I have to say that coming out is hard enough without that looming over your head that you could literally be held in a mental institution just because you were gay. I can't imagine what that was like. Just a small personal inquiry follow-up question. How did you remain literally awesome through all of that? How did you keep your personality the way it is? How did you retain all of that?
Well, the best thing I could say is I guess we've all been fighters in our family. My mother is Native American. So, it's like a lot of tribes, girls can marry at 12 years old. My father, on the other hand, was from St. Thomas, St. Kitts in the Virgin Islands. But he was a jockey, which is what's called like Saratoga story. He was a jockey in England, and he rode for the crown. Coming to America, I mean, my grandfather and grandmother on my father's side was already here. But I mean, he came from there to here, not realizing how systemic racism was, and he could not ride as a jockey, in U.S. thoroughbred. The first time that color line was broken was by a jockey named Cortez. He was Spanish, but he was light-skinned Spanish, and then the other, like the other jockeys that shortly followed him, are very, very light-skinned. Or the dark-skinned jockeys were just considered, what they called exercise boys.
I mean,
so racism was really systemic in this country. I mean, my father was like, he was in Saratoga, bought my mother this beautiful house, beautiful home in Saratoga on Circular Street, which was like a very nice section on the east side of Saratoga. But at that time, because he would not become an American citizen, they erased any, there is no evidence that we ever owned that property in Saratoga. And my father said, I'm not staying here being treated like this. I'm going back to England. My mother said, this is my country. She's part Mohawk Indian. I'm not leaving. So they had this thing going. And Daddy came home every July and August when the racing season was on in Saratoga. My father was really trying to get my mother to leave me alone, but like with him being, as they said, across the pond, and her being in Saratoga, and she really did not really have no sway. Mama said I was getting married, that was it.
Well, I mean, I know, what it's like to fight a little bit in the present, but what you have, what you have done and been through, and, it really is so inspiring that you are you.
Well, thank you, but I attribute that to the fact that I felt betrayed by my mother, and I had a lot of anger. So, I mean, I was in everything. I was in the civil rights movement. I was in the women's movement. Me and two of my sons in the Black Panther Party. I mean, just, and when this incident broke out in Greenwich Village in 1969, I said, oh, finally, this is my fight and I'm going to be part of it. Yeah.
I love it so much. It's hard for me to be calm about it. I just think you're amazing. Sorry.
Well, thank you. But what I tell everybody is live your truth, love yourself, laugh in the face of adversity, and don't let nobody turn you around.
We're gonna need that. Thank goodness this is being recorded, but I'm gonna need that on some bad days if I have it. That is.
Well, I would like to think though, at 82 years of age, I've kind of mellowed. Yeah.
Who is 82 years of age?
Me.
Not you. No, I don't.
Yes, do the math, honey. I was born in 38.
I will.
I tell everybody I'm the gayest great-great-grandmother out the closet.
I know. I had to read your bio, and that was the best thing I have read out loud. I think maybe ever. So. Oh. It is. I am so privileged to be in your presence, even if it's virtually.
Oh, well, one day we might get to meet in person. They loosened up things here in New York. Everything's opening back up.
It needs to be a group trip to come meet you, Reverend.
Okay.
Maybe we should. Maybe we definitely should. So I have some questions that were sent to me also.
Okay.
From some folks who have viewed the film, and one of them is actually for Dr. Pat, and it's a question that you may or may not be able to answer, and it may or may not be completely a factual answer or not. But how could homosexuality have ever been considered for something like the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual from your clinical perspective?
So how could it ever have been considered?
Yeah, how do you think that could have ever been considered?
Total fear. In my opinion, I think people were just extremely afraid. The first 5 minutes of the documentary, and Patrick, I'm glad you included this early on, with that person from McDade County talking to all those students and just instilling fear into every single one of them. And now those students who heard that message and how that was such perpetrated at that time. I think it was some people started rolling with it. Fear started to create it. And I think that's how it ended up there. It's interesting because I think Reverend Kennedy and all the LGBTQ civil rights activists really, I don't know if I would have entered into this career if that was the same kind of thinking that was being done by the psychologists and psychiatrists, or maybe my reasons for entering this career would have been different. Maybe I would have tried to fight alongside those who were trying to, fight for what was, the right way of thinking. And it's sad, the same kind of thinking that was going on when DSM-1 came out is still being considered by some regarding conversion therapy, which, you know, one of the things, 20 states, I think right now have made that ban. 30 states still have not banned conversion therapy, and Pennsylvania is one of them. I think Brian Sims in 2019 came out with a House bill, and since 2019 I haven't heard any like friction or any ways that could beget some movement. But there's still like in certain religious sectors, they're still hurting our kids.
Oh yeah, and using the Bible.
Yeah, they're still hurting our children. And I think a couple things, and I love the question. And you know, one of the things I can't think like that. I can only give like an idea of maybe and speculate maybe what went into it. But I think the CURED documentary should be shown in every counseling psychology program.
I agree.
And every psychiatry program. I think it should be in the educational programs. I think middle school should be checking this out and watching this. My daughter's 10. My daughter is very well aware of LGBTQ, and she is an ally, and she's a supporter. And who knows? Who knows? But who knows? Like, I made a comment to her, like as a joke. I said, "Hey, Morgan, you know, when a boy comes over, we're gonna have a problem. You know, I'm gonna embarrass the crap out of her. I don't want any boys ever coming over here." And she goes, "It might not be a boy, Dad." Like, you're right.
Well,
you're right. Thank you. And I did say, whoever comes over, I'm going to embarrass you. But I think this documentary needs to get out more, because there's still myths, and there's still stereotypes, and there's still fear. Fear is what drives people from avoiding, and people from, you know, putting up these stereotypes and this stigma. So again, I'm just going to say, Reverend Kennedy, you're a rock star. I mean, I loved you throughout the entire documentary. I forget the talk show you were on, but that fiery like attitude, it was beautiful. And I really, and we all do, we appreciate everything you've done for us. It's amazing. And like I said, the other people on this panel were just amazing. I know Jill, getting to meet Marlene. I know Nick and Patrick, who created the documentary. I appreciate all of you. I really do.
We appreciate you too, Dr.
Thank
Pat.
you. Yes.
Yes. I just, you know, I can't imagine like working in the field now. You know, what a waste of resources to put gay people in institutions. And, you know, I mean, now we can see it that way, but I can't imagine, you know, there was so much fear in me to come out of the closet just because of what people thought would think about me. And I knew what they would think about me, but adding that layer of it being an illness on top of it is devastating. So I wanted to ask, and I hope Marlene can help out with what you were talking about in the chat, and with Jill, you know, what did happen on Tuesday, and how are things like this and attitudes like this affecting our young people?
So thank you. It's amazing to be here and listen to everyone's reflections. And so Tuesday, and I also want to acknowledge that two amazing young people are out there attending and watching us. So
hello.
Hi, Jordan. Hi, James. James and I were sitting together on Tuesday at a school board meeting here in the Central Bucks School District, which is the third largest school district in Pennsylvania. And we were there to support an initiative to help overturn a vote that was made 2 weeks ago, removing professional development funding for a trans affirming program for a school guidance counselor. Super easy thing to do. First time ever the school board's ever cherry picked a line item out, voted it out. A lot of outrage and hurt from the community that it was just picked out like this and voted down with no explanation. And so several of us showed up together to speak in support of it. And what I wasn't expecting was that some of the very same kind of energy and like the bloodthirsty hatred and the total fear, which those were the two words you said, Dr. Pat, total fear, that was in the room with us. And people were talking about Satan being in the classroom and talking about I mean, just hateful, horrible things about sex education, about trans people. It was really, not shocking, but also shocking to just so openly have it in this public forum. And what concerned me most was, first of all, hearing that people would say it and then get applause. There was applause in the room. And we also had amazing, people that spoke, parents, kids from the Rainbow Room, other community members that we didn't know speak in just beautiful, loving support. But my greatest concern was also walking out of there and the concern for how this was impacting these kids, like to actually, so watching the film this morning, when I watched it, it was so striking, the similarity to what happened Tuesday night, 1.5 miles from my house. It was so striking, and to see the impact that it could have, and to stay in touch with some of those youth that were there that night. I stayed up till 11:30 texting a whole group of young people that were there, including one who's here in the audience, who I just love so much.
I do too.
And knowing that they were shaken, that some of them didn't sleep well, that they were looking over their shoulder the next day on their walk into high school. So that is the impact of that fear and that hatred. And it's also been amplified. It's been completely amplified. And it is so important that we pay attention to school board races. That also should have been interrupted. Somebody should have stopped that kind of hateful language from taking place in a public forum. It was damaging to the actual students that, and I know I have such great value for free speech. I mean, I really do, including hate speech. There's a very big difference between, but anyway, it was over the line in a public school setting. So that is not what I expected to be talking about several days ago when I was getting excited for this panel, but here it is. I mean, the reality is that we have come so far in so many ways, and very much geared and oriented towards our beautiful trans and non-binary and gender diverse young people and adults. And the conversion therapy issue is also very real. We passed a ban here in Doylestown Borough in 2017, but one of the council people voted against it, totally voted against a ban on conversion therapy in our tiny little 2.5 square mile town. So there is, it passed easily 8-1, but every one of those votes and every one of those, parents and community members that spewed that hate and intolerance and fear, real just fear, are impacting the well-being of LGBTQ plus people. So I'm profoundly grateful. We are gonna, hopefully, if we get the okay, gonna watch this Wednesday night at the Rainbow Room. I called Nick today and I was like, can we get an extension so I can watch it with the kiddos? So with the youth. So yeah, anyway, thank you for having me here and for creating this beautiful film. And I'm also just like totally starstruck to be here with Reverend Kennedy. I mean, thank you for all that you've done, for everything you've been part of, and for knowing that this is your fight and that you're going to be part of it. So thank you.
It's, we need to keep on renewing that. And, here in Bucks County, we are that. And don't you think for a second, if you are a young person who is watching this, that we will ever let, school, a county, or anything keep you from being who you want to be. And I just have to tell you, since I know that you're in here, I'm a gay man who leads an organization that is very well respected by all of the county. So if that is okay, then imagine what else can be okay. So here on out, things you'll be protected, and you know, we will have safe spaces for you, and we'll make sure that it's okay for you to be you, because Marlene said that she loves you. I love you too. So, and I know who you are. So we will make sure that the future is different. That is what we are doing right now. And I do want to
one thing I wanted to throw in there, and I think it's very, very important. When I was in the Black Panther Party, one of the things that I was teaching was self-defense. I urge all young people my age, us seniors, and everybody else, take self-defense. Also, if you can, always try to travel in twos. This is one of the things that we learned, and I apply this even now. I'm 82 years old. I go any place I want to go 24/7. You know, dare anybody to mess with me. So it is important that our young people learn self-defense.
Absolutely. Yes. Or you can ask, in Bucks County, everybody knows who NAMI Man is. Just ask NAMI Man to go with you. So Reverend Kennedy, you know, I am also a mental health superhero. It's sort of goofy, but it's also, you know, I survived suicide attempts, and so I go and visit kids in hospitals as a mental health superhero. So so kind of a joke, but seriously, if we're going to make change, maybe we're up against some people who don't necessarily want us to be here. So
that's right.
Absolutely.
So
that's
absolutely important, you know, to be able to defend you. So, and you know, it doesn't have to come down to weapons. I mean, there's simple things. I tell this all the time. People always talk about me carrying my hot sauce. Well, yeah. I carry hot sauce, my own knife, fork, and spoon. I tell them it's kosher, you know. But the idea is, you know, hot sauce is food. It cannot be declared as a weapon. But in the case that anybody gets in your face, you uncap it and throw it in their eyes and keep running.
Oh. And
I mean, these are simple things, you know. It's like if they can't possibly charge you with having a weapon.
Well, I mean, we have to do what we have to do to you know, make a better future. And if you want to go where you want to go 24/7, you might need some hot sauce. So I love it. I can't tell you how much I do. Absolutely. I love it. And it's solid advice. And I like keeping on, you know, the trajectory of changing things for our young people for the future and changing the future. I just, you know, I want to know from Jill too, what is it like as a mom? You know, and you share as much as you want about your family and your situation, but what is it like as a mom? You know, knowing where we've been, knowing what we're up against, what is it like?
You know, watching this documentary was extremely, I don't want to say it was eye-opening, but like some of the things I didn't really know either, as much as I try to be like immersed in learning as much as I can as a mom of children who identify in the community. I was telling Pat and Nick, like I had to watch it in chunks, because me, like I'm an empath, so like I apply everything to like my own life. So when I'm going through it, I'm thinking about like my own kids. I get upset, but thank you, Reverend, for everything that you've done. Because of you, my kids are able to be themselves. And, you know, I look at it and think about, and sorry, I'm so emotional, but like, I have a 7-year-old son who is trans, who told me at 3 years old that he is a boy. And for me, that's a very easy decision for me to make. Like I was telling everybody earlier, joking around, I want all my kids to be themselves. I want them all to be happy
Yes.
want them all to be, kind. And I joke that I just don't want them to smell either. So as long as so for me, he's my youngest of 4. So if I'm gonna do that with my oldest, then I'm gonna do that with my youngest regardless. So for me, it was a very easy decision. That's who you are, and I want you to be happy. So we went right out and bought clothes. So for me, it's a journey that I'm on with him. So as a parent, it's been a beautiful thing. I feel like it's made me a better parent. And I've been following his journey all the way up to 7, and it's still going strong. And we've changed as he brought it out and opened to us, and have followed his lead. And he is an awesome kid who went from being very miserable. Speaking of, when they were saying they're finding people that are unhappy that are in the community, and they're the ones that they're working with the psychiatrist, saying like, oh well, there's something wrong with them. They're just finding ones that were having a hard time adapting, and wasn't able to express himself. And he was a very upset and angry little child until he was able to say, this is who I am. And now and Pat knows him, and he's best friends with his daughter. So we have great allies in them as well, and just having him like laugh and everything. So it's been amazing. It was hard with family in the beginning. I think, they don't understand when a child is that young to say, how do they know? And I was thinking of you, Reverend Kennedy, when you said, nobody can tell me who I am. I know who I am, right? And I can't tell him, no matter how old he is, who he is. Right? Like he knows who he is, and he would cry and talk about, why did God make me this way? Like, I'm not like, why does my heart not match my parts? Like is what he said. And it was just so profound for somebody so little. And how can I deny that and tell him who he is? So like when you said that, it really I wrote it down in my little notes, like under your name. I was like, it really stood out to me. And I think we do get some kickback and stuff from people, but for me, I'm a big, I don't really care what other people think. And we're big on your opinion affects us 0%, just as the way that we raise our children affects you 0%. So, if you don't like what we're doing, then that's fine. That's a you problem. And we just keep right on our trajectory to make sure that, my kids are happy. And I think too, it's allowed my older daughter to be able to now, at almost 11, say, wow, these are like things that are out there, and this may be who I am. And I'm giving her that space to be able to figure that out, which I think is great. And I do the same thing for my students, which I think is important, to have somebody safe in school that they can know and see, like, this person supports me no matter what. And I know that no matter what, I can go there and have a safe place. So I want to be that safe place for my kids, but also for my students. So but thank you. Sorry, I'm like such a mush.
That's okay. Listen, I was like sending you kisses, and I was sending you a virtual hug.
Oh, thank you.
The best thing is that, children know, I mean, I go for myself. Kids know who they are. It's the parents that try to orient them away. Parents know who they are, and the parents know who their kids might be and might turn out to be. And they really go out of their way to orient them out of that, But for some of us, it didn't work. Well, one of the things, like I said, first of all, being Black, being female, being gay, there's 3 strikes, you're out in anybody's ball game. But honey, that was all it was. It just made me stronger and fighting for my people of color, and LGBTQ. And the biggest thing is, I tell the young people, you love yourself. You live your life. You live your truth, and don't let nobody turn you around.
Nope. And
no, I always tell my kids, my students and my kids, I say, if somebody's saying something bad about you, like, you matter to them, like, you're important in their life, like, just kind of like, it makes you even more important that person is spending that much time out of their day to, think about you or talk about you. Like, you're pretty awesome if, everybody's talking about you and wanting to know what you're doing and keeping track of how you live your life. So you're great. Just do you, be you.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Because usually, like when people speaking, one of the things I learned, being in the women's movement and being fighting for all these different causes and whatnot, I had a chance to take a course at Boston University, although I never went no further than 7th grade, educationally. But I had studied at Lucy Scribner Library in Saratoga, which was the library for Skidmore College, which was at that time an Ivy League college for girls. So in doing that, and at Boston University, one of the first things you learn, and you're taking psychology, especially since I was getting ready to go into seminary, people speak in the first person. Most times when people are talking about you, it has nothing in the world to do with you. They're speaking about how they feel about themselves, and I always tell, excuse the expression, but envy and jealousy is a bitch, so you just move on past that, and just look at them and just keep on going with what you have going for you and be proud and love who you are.
Absolutely. And it was so interesting to me rewatching the film last night. It occurred to me that everything that we talk about in our LGBTQ plus support groups at NAMI, not everything, but a lot of what we talk about, has nothing to do with the actual, me being gay, say.
Right.
No, that isn't a struggle for me. I enjoy being gay. But the problem comes and the mental health struggles come when other people literally try and keep you from who you are or you are, or to, like you said, turn you from being who you are. That is a mental health issue. That's a problem. So, if we could all just, it's easy to say if we could all just support one another, but why aren't you supporting someone else? And what does that say about you? Like you said, Reverend Kennedy, absolutely. So I do have like some questions about the actual film and everything. And, Patrick, how you met these amazing people, how you got them all in one place to make this film. I know it probably wasn't all in one place, but how did you do this? How long did it take? Where did you find all of the old footage, the archival footage and everything? So basically, how did you do everything?
Well, Nick, thank you for the question. And this discussion is just so inspiring, and being able to just sit back and listen and hear about Jill, it's just so inspiring hearing your family story, and the love for your child is really moving. And Reverend Kennedy, I know you well, but hearing you talk is just really wonderful, and I get new inspiration from you every day. So it's really been, I think I used the term earlier, it's just an odyssey, and we really had a number of elements to think about in making the film. The first one is, when you're making a film that you go into someone and you say, I want to make a film about meetings and conferences, it's kind of a hard sell. So, the visual elements of the story, we didn't really know what we were going to find when we jumped into this. And we had two great archival producers, Murdu Chandra and Luann Jones, and they spent months and months and months scouring archives all around the globe, really looking for potential visual elements. And they found some amazing archival material like the David Susskind program that Reverend Kennedy was a star of. And that was actually how we first, thought we learned about Reverend Kennedy, and thankfully were able to track her down. And so for others, though, we talked to experts in the books that are out there and sort of knew who some of the key people were, and we were able to track many of them down. And of course, the ones, Frank and Barbara, who'd already passed away, thankfully there was a lot of archival material to use from their stories. But at the heart of what we tried to do with the archival material is have images and footage of the activists back in the time period in the early 70s and marry that with the present day recollection. So you're able to see them in action, if you will, and then also have them reflect on it. There was the 60 Minutes segment, which is part of the film. Ron Gold and Charles Silverstein were a part of that. And we were just grateful for all of the people who participated. Richard Socarides was, he really hadn't participated in many interviews before. So we're appreciative of his decision to take part and share his story, what it must have been like to deal with his own sense of who he was. I can't imagine as a child coming to terms with your sexual orientation, then having your father being the leading proponent of this mental illness label. Is just such an amazing burden that he must have faced, and has done amazing things with his own life, trying to create a better world. So it was, a mix of the visual elements and then the storytellers and interviewing them and raising the money was such a big piece of it. And we're appreciative of the American Psychiatric Association for opening their archives and really being supportive of this effort. They're providing an outreach grant that's helping us do screenings like this and many others around the country. I think we have 40 scheduled in June, virtual events. Because some organizations don't want to air dirty laundry from the past. They want to brush it under the rug. So a credit to the APA, led today by Dr. Saul Levin, the medical director and CEO, who's an openly gay man, which really demonstrates how far that organization has come. But their archives, really critical photos. And, we actually went in person to archives. Not everything is online. To the young people watching today, you actually have to go places and open boxes. And really the highlight of our archival hunt was actually at the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, where we were digging through the boxes, 217 boxes, John Fryer's personal collection. And there we uncovered in a box labeled miscellaneous audio, the recording of his 1972 speech from Dallas. And I'm not even sure the Historical Society knew that this was in their collection. And so to have that in the film really brings his moment of drama and courage to life, to be able to hear his voice and the sort of willingness to stand up and put his voice out there. So the editing, it took a long time. Steve Hefner did a fantastic job working with us. But it's basically you're putting together a puzzle. You're finding incredible people like Reverend Kennedy. You're finding archival material, and then you're having to structure it in a way that is compelling, because a challenge here is there are 10 or 11 main characters, if you will. People come onto the stage, they have an important part to play, which is part of what makes a story so inspiring. It wasn't one or two people leading this charge. It was people from various backgrounds, various walks of life, various parts of the country, stepping forward and playing their part. So stitching that all together in a way that was compelling is part of the reason it took 5 years to make. But it really means so much to me to hear and participate in this discussion and hear how this film has resonance today. And that's really, we think it is so relevant to the events that are going on, like what Marlene spoke about. It's just a relevant story today. And we hope that people can be inspired by it to continue pushing for the change that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, of course it's still relevant now. Of course it's still relevant now. I mean, I was so thrilled, and our executive director, Debbie, too, can tell you, when I read about this and I reached out to Julie, and I just said, whatever it takes, we have to do this. We have to do this. And I talked to Dr. Pat about it. It's just so important. I mean, not just because I'm part of the LGBTQ community. It's important, for human rights. You can't, there's just certain things that you can't take away from somebody without leaving a hole that is, it affects their heart and their mind and their mental health and the rest of their lives. It's really, really important that we show where we've been in the mental health field and psychiatry. And, otherwise, how do we know where we're going? And honestly, without this film, I mean, a lot of us wouldn't have known what exactly happened, to be frank. So I'm grateful. So great.
Well, and we're really excited that there's going to be a national broadcast on PBS in October. And, credit also to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through the independent television service. They put in a big chunk of the funding. So we're really heartened that this will have a wide national release. That, you know, you don't need a membership to HBO Max or Netflix. Anyone for free can watch this film. And that really is exciting to us, that it can have as wide a reach as possible.
Absolutely. And I was watching the film again last night, and I saw our NAMI CEO, Dan Gillison, is actually in the trailer. The
thank yous. Yes. No,
yes.
Dan was really helpful when he was at the APA Foundation, and we met a number of times with him and really got the ball rolling for the grant that the organization provided. So we're a big fan of Dan, and we're thrilled that he's now leading NAMI.
Well, I am too, and it says a lot for NAMI that Dan helped quite a bit in helping make this film a reality. So, yay, Dan, if you are watching this. Hope you don't mind that I just called you Dan also. Anyway, I think we could probably have discussions all night long. I know that we want to keep it, you know, toward the hour mark, and we went a little bit past already, but I do want to know from everybody on the panel, what lessons do you hope that viewers take away from the film? Any particular points of impact that rang true for you? And why do you think that this story is relevant now, especially for where we're hoping to go for the future? So how about Reverend Kennedy? What do you think about, you know, what lessons you hope people take from this?
Well, one of the things is I hope that people become enlightened. I hope that they can use what I call, they can lose their toes. And the toes is tired old ethics that no longer serve. That's what toes stands for. I'm hoping that, yeah, I was a comedian, you know. Yeah, I was. I was a comic, stand-up comedian, and I was in show business before I became in the ministry and in the civil rights movement. So I enjoy making people laugh.
Yeah, what don't you do? Exactly.
Well, one thing I was going to say to you, that the mother, you know, the biggest thing that you can do is love your children, let them be them, and you know, just let them be, because if you've given them what I call soul food from growing up, and they go their way, they're not going to, you know, apple trees produce apples, and apples don't stray too far from the tree. If they've had the right kind of nurturing and loving, they'll be all right, and they'll be able to handle anything that's going on out here. And I speak as a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-great-grandmother. So
well, I don't think man, for a panel discussion, I mean, there is no one. Can you be on all of our panels?
Dr. Patrick and Bennett.
We're gonna need you for every event that we do and all of our panels. So we'll keep you busy. Sorry.
Yeah, talk to Patrick Sammon, not Dr. Patrick. I'm just getting to know him. But Dr. Patrick Sammon and Bennett Singh.
Okay. I will. I'll check with them first. I will. And you know, just on that same note too, if anybody happens to watch this and you don't currently have the love of your family, I want you to know that there are people and organizations out here that literally exist to help you forward and be your chosen family and help you to find your chosen family too. And one of those organizations is the Rainbow Room, and we are so lucky to have it in Bucks County. We just really are. And so, Marlene, what?
One more thing I forgot to add in here is we have here in the New York, Brooklyn area, Watermark Galleries exhibit. It's called Not Another Second. And
Yes.
it's LGBT seniors sharing our stories. Now, the exhibit started in January and was supposed to end in March. However, it is still going on. And the book of the same name, Not Another Second, is available. And if people are interested in getting that book, they can call 347-343-4900. Again, 347-343-4900 about the book, Not Another Second. The proceeds from that book, the Watermark Galleries is going to undertake to provide homes for young people that are still being thrown out of their homes because they're gay. And even as we speak here in New York, some of these young people, 12 and up, are still living on the pier. So Watermark Galleries is taking this on. I'm taking on the book. I'm in the book. They gave me an 8-page spread in that book. So kindly think about that. If you're in the New York area, call so you can go see the exhibit. And I'm talking with the director to probably put that exhibit, on around the country, whatever.
That would be
But
awesome.
the whole thing is, I'm very, very concerned about the young people. Being
Yeah.
a mother, grandmother, great grandmother, and great great grandmother.
You are a great grandmother. And we're close enough to New York that could be a day trip to go and see that exhibit. I didn't know it was an exhibit also. I just thought it was a
Yes.
book. So
No,
yeah.
it's the exhibit. The Watermark Galleries is at 21 Clark Street, Brooklyn Heights, New York, Brooklyn.
Okay.
And that phone number I gave you, you have to call first. The exhibit is free, but you have to call and let them know how many people are coming. The exhibit's on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. And I put the number in the chat too. And I
All
can
right.
share it with folks if they reach out as well. So
Right. And then I'm sure they will send you the book, and like I said, the proceeds from the book is going to go to building housing for young people.
need that. We definitely need.
Much so much so. You have no idea.
I do have an idea.
In a city of 9 million people, you have no idea.
I know. So,
By the way, I'm not in New York City. There's 5 boroughs. People here in New York, I'm in the boogie down Bronx. There's 5 boroughs in here that make up New York. So, I'm in one of the 5 boroughs. I'm in the Bronx.
I know. Well, you know what? You doing that and putting your story out there helps us. But then to add to that, you're donating the proceeds to make sure that we have safe places to go when there's no one else who accepts us is phenomenal. You're an
So
amazing
also, whenever
human
you
being.
call that number, please make sure and tell Reverend Kennedy told you to call.
Reverend Kennedy sent you.
Indeed. And back around here, they know me as Reverend Goddess because I was initiated into Goddess Society. So it's Reverend Goddess Kennedy.
Well, I also wanted to call you that when I introduced you, and I wasn't sure if you went by that everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay. Well, Reverend Goddess.
Yeah, this is my 11th year. I was initiated in 2010. Yeah. 2011. Yeah. So it's my anniversary of being initiated a goddess.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So, and I received my crone status, because I'm in the Goddess Society. I'm the oldest member in the group. So I got my crone status 2 years later. So it's Reverend Crone Goddess.
You were a goddess before you were officially a goddess. Let's just admit that. Let's just admit it. Well,
the thing is to be happy, be loving, be concerned, be yourself.
Absolutely. Couldn't ask for more than that. I am so grateful that you exist.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely. And I do, same question for everybody. I know we're going over time and everything. I hope that's okay with everybody. Sorry about that, but this is just a great conversation. And I want to know, Marlene, what do you hope people take from this? And, how is this going to help going forward?
There was a line in the film about, and I wish I could remember it. I'll be watching it again, so I'll write it down, about I turned my gaze, and
oh yeah,
which is also, a great pun. But
yeah,
I turned my gaze and I could never look back again, it was something that, like, once you're seeing.
My life began.
Is that what it was?
My gaze and my life began.
Yeah. And I feel like there's so many of those moments that are illuminated in this film. And there's so much hope in that, even amongst the struggle that we have. And I feel hopeful about all the young people that I know whose gazes have been turned by the movement for human rights and civil rights in the history of humanity, but also locally. And I also want people to know that about the resilience and the strength of the LGBTQ plus community and the links to civil rights and to racial justice and to reproductive rights and women's rights. I mean, there were a lot of those important threads, and Reverend Kennedy kind of also, Reverend Goddess Kennedy, you represent also so much of those links. So I think those are some of the messages, and I just found it such a profoundly inspiring and beautiful piece that put a lot of pieces in about our history that we don't often hear, and some that I had never heard before, and I feel so grateful. Thank you.
We're grateful that you exist as well.
Yes.
Absolutely. The only thing I regret is not being born just a little bit later so that I was part of Rainbow Room, like when it started when I was younger. So I wish I was just a little bit younger, but hey, we're
never too late.
Well, now, I all of the participants of the Rainbow Room are amazing young people. I would do anything for them, and I get to be part now as an adult, although it makes me so sad to say adult, but I am one, and nothing I could do about it. So
no, be proud that you're an adult, like you're an adult. A lot of this homophobia goes to the Bible, but in one part of the Bible it says that old people shall dream dreams and the younger people shall carry them on. So so there you are, you're there for the young people to help them carry on for.
All right, well, young people in the chat, you got to carry on my old dreams. I'm old. You're not, though, because you're a goddess.
You get to be 82, brother. When you hit 50, all of a sudden it says, it's like, okay, I ain't old no more. 50 gonna be the new 20, baby.
Hey, I'm all for that.
All
for it. So let's see, Patrick, how about you? What do you hope the big takeaway is, and how do we move forward from here?
Well, I hope that people are inspired by the story to understand that creating social change is possible. One of the things that we wanted to do in telling this story is to show people that victory wasn't inevitable. Oftentimes when you're thinking about history, you sometimes think, well, it was always going to turn out this way. And all of us know that's not the case. It's up to us today to do the work. And so hopefully people can see from history that this didn't happen by accident. The APA didn't magically one day wake up and its leadership say, oh, let's re-examine this. It happened because of outside pressure. It happened because of inside maneuvering. And so that's the same with social change movements today. And what still needs to happen to make our world more just is that A, change and progress is not inevitable, and B, it's up to us to make sure the change happens. And hopefully these stories from this fight 50 years ago can give us inspiration for moving forward with that fight. And
52 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't let you say hopefully, though, because we will. And that's a promise.
Absolutely.
And you put this together so beautifully, which is why Marlene's pulling out pieces of it. And, we all have favorite moments from the film. But I was going to say, when Marlene was trying to think of the exact quote, I was like, you remember, because someone put it together. It's well put together. And his name is Patrick. And he's the one with the good hair. So.
Well.
Oh, so, well, let's move on to the Patrick with less hair.
Bald is beautiful, brother. It's all right.
I know.
My dad, God bless his soul, you know, with his genetics, I remember the little statue he had. Bald is beautiful. Reverend Goddess, you said it. Bald is beautiful.
Yes.
If we didn't love you, I would not even say anything.
I know you. And I knew that. Believe me, I feel like I'm at home. This is it. My kids and my wife say the same thing.
Okay.
I'll be honest. Like, my takeaway is, I've worked in the counseling field for a long time. I've worked in a hospital setting. I've seen people come into the hospital setting, real attempts to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Ligature marks, staples down the arm, overdosing on pills, because of they did not receive any love and support and compassion,
right,
due toward being in the community of LGBTQ. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get a chance to read the letter, but I got a lot of letters, and I just want this to echo to anybody out there, a child, adolescent, an adult. You're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You're not alone. And there's so many loving, caring, compassionate people out there. Mm-hmm. You just haven't met them yet. And I know how hard it is if you have people close to you in your own house who, you know, whether it's a religious culture or whether it's just because they're afraid. There are people out there who you just may not have found yet that will support you. And once you meet those people, and once you get to really be genuine to who you really are, your life will get better. Things will happen for you. And I know how scared it is. And a lot of times when people come into the hospital setting are really struggling with suicide, they have tunnel vision. They have this attentional bias, this cognitive rigidity, where they only see that them leaving this earth is the only way out, and that's not it. That's not the case. And people like Reverend Goddess, what Marlene has done in Bucks County, Nick, Jill, Patrick, and this is just, we're just very little. We're very little compared to the many people out there that are not like the people at that board meeting that Marlene talked about. There are accepting, loving people.
Yes.
Be genuine, be proud, and just
love yourself.
You don't know me. You don't know me at all, but I love you. You know, and this is the one thing about the people who are watching it from NAMI. Reach out to us. Yeah. You know, to Marlene, reach out to us, because we will always be there for you. We'll get you through this really shitty, dark time that you might be feeling. Know that you're loved, and we love who you are, the real you. And that's all.
Amen. Go right there.
That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, that's all. Well, we love you too, Pat, and you're a big part of our lives, and not just a small one, but you know, I'm grateful for everything that you do and say every single day. And I do want to, you know, let everybody know who is maybe going through a dark time or anything like that. You know, Marlene and I had a conversation. Pat knows because he's on our board. Julie knows because she helped to coordinate this event and has been amazing. And I know that you don't see her, but I want to thank her for everything that she's done. Some of us literally work 24/7 to make sure that change happens and that things are moving forward. And, you know, really, some of us haven't had days off during the pandemic, making sure, you know, that there's places for you to go. Marlene has run the Rainbow Room all throughout COVID. We've run NAMI groups all throughout COVID. When you feel like you are alone or that no one cares, I want you to remember what Pat said, what Marlene said, what Reverend Goddess said, what Patrick said, and what Jill is about to say, I'm sure, Jill, that, you know, we're working for you, even though you don't see it, and we're here. So Jill, how about you? What do you think the main takeaway is, and how are we moving forward?
I think for me, the main takeaway was, how much work has been put in so far, right? But the fact that the work isn't over, and for people to see that, all these beautiful people did not fight the good fight for all this long, for now that we have something different coming to the mix with our trans, children and trans folks, for them to say, well, this is different because different is bad and we don't know this. So it's going to negate all this hard work that, I think it's important to realize, even though because I wasn't there, but everybody in the documentary has fought so hard that we still have so much further to go, because we do have the people that Marlene saw at the board meetings that, if it's different, it's bad, and they're not willing to understand different because it doesn't fit into the way that they see the world. And unfortunately, for them, that's the way they see the world, is not the only way that the world exists. So it's, it's something that they need to work on, and having that education in schools. I think parents, or adults, they discredit what their kids are capable of and what they bring to the table and what they know. So just working in schools, I'm super impressed with kids. Like, they are the new Reverend Goddess Kennedy. They are the new, they are all the new trailblazers that I'm going to take a page out of your book, Reverend Goddess, they are the next uprising. They are continuing it, and they are making the world better for all of the kids that are coming up after them. And I'm super excited to see what all of our friends that are watching do. I am 100% behind you, 110%, like Pat said, Dr. Pat. I don't know you either, but I I love you too. I love all the kids, and I think too, I also have suffered from mental health issues, and when I was in high school, I too, I have my semicolon tattoo on my arm, because nothing is that bad, and nothing is final. Like, your journey is still there to continue, and we're all there to be there to help you through that. So, I mean, I definitely want to be in contact with you, Marlene, afterwards, and you, everybody, to continue that fight and help everybody, and hopefully get to know more kids, and help them be that next uprising and the next trailblazers of their generation, not ours.
One thing for me, you can go to revelationsnow.org. I do Sunday words every Sunday. So it's revelationsnow.org. Okay. And also, I'm going to quote Fred Hampton: "You may kill the revolutionary, but you cannot kill the revolution. This is a revolution. It is ongoing, and we will not quit. We will not quit."
And our mission at NAMI is to help support all of you young people and that Rainbow Room, to support you so that nothing happens to you on the way to the change that we are looking for and that we need. So absolutely. So with that, I would just love to thank, Jill, Dr. Pat, Patrick, Marlene, Reverend Goddess Kennedy. I have to go to one of the Sunday events with
every Sunday on Facebook. Revelationsnow.org. Sunday words.
And Reverend Goddess, I wonder if you can see, we have Jill's family who came in. So hello everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey. Oh, you're so cute.
It's so good to see you.
I'm stealing your Eagles tie, Everett. I'm still coming after your Eagles tie.
Well,
beautiful.
What a beautiful family.
Yes, indeed. Amen. Go right there.
Well, we're missing Daddy, but I meant one more kid. Thank you.
Who are you? Who are you?
Tell us your names and how old you are.
7.
Who am I looking at? Wait.
Everett and 7.
Everett and 7. Okay.
Everett 7. And who else is there?
Oh, wait, right here.
Oh.
Whoever you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Red and I'm 10.
Hi.
Hi.
And then go ahead. What's your...
I'm Jojo and I'm 9.
Hi, Jojo.
Hey. All
It's
right.
funny. It's funny. The oldest is my oldest's best friend, and the youngest, my youngest is best friend. So.
And then we have a 15-year-old too, who's at lacrosse. So.
Oh,
At
okay.
8:30. Wow. That's a commitment.
What y'all gonna be when you grow up? Quick, do an elevator pitch. What y'all gonna be when you grow up?
I literally don't know.
You don't know.
You really don't know?
You don't know either? No. So we're going to be happy and successful, right?
That's it.
Amen. Go right there. Yay.
Yeah, we're going to be us.
There you go. I love it. I love it.
Hey, Nick. Hey,
yes.
Nick, real fast, since you thanked all of us. We want to thank you because we love you. You're an amazing human being.
Yeah.
Consistently help people no matter what. So I just want to make sure you get appreciated right now.
Oh,
we love you, man. We do love you.
Amen. Go right there.
I love all of you too. And, I'm just grateful to be here. And thank you, Julie, again, for helping to plan this. It's an honor because I am doing everything that I love to do. I can't believe that I get to do this every single day. So
wow.
Every day. And thank you to Debbie Moritz, our executive director, too, for letting me do it. She says she doesn't let me, but yes, she does. So, and thank you to everybody who joined us. It means so much to all of us for you to come. And don't thank us, Reverend Kennedy. Reverend Goddess, we love you. So
love you.
I hope. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. We're just getting started, and stay tuned for more.
And happy holiday.
And yes, and have a happy holiday.
Happy holiday. Remember those that have fought for us.
Amen.
I hope they remember what Memorial Day is all about besides being a sales day.
Yeah. Amen. Or a burger day. It's about bigger.
Or the beach day. Yep, absolutely. So. And absolutely. So everyone have a great night. Stay tuned for more
everybody. Great documentary, Pat. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick.
Thank you so much. All right, have a great night, everybody.
Bye,
Jill. Bye, Sienna.
Bye.
Bye, all. Thank you.
Marlene,
Love you.
Great meeting you.